All right, welcome back to Close It Now. Sam Wakefield here. It is time to rock and roll with another. This is week two of 2025, and it is starting off to be an awesome year. I'm excited to uh, come to you today and visit, hang out. We're gonna talk about what's in your cup. We're gonna go over a review, and we're gonna talk about something that is really important in your sales journey, which is goal setting and how to get into momentum. That is one of the biggest things that people miss in their goals. Is they set these big goals, but don't know how to get started. How do we get into momentum? So we're going to talk about that today. So let's dive in a little bit. First of all, welcome everybody. This is another day. It's a beautiful day. It's a perfect day to focus on growing. Welcome to Drive Time University. I'm excited about so many things right now. I don't know if you saw this, but the Inner Revolution book that we launched a little while back, it made international bestseller list, which is really cool. So watch out for several more, at least one or two more books coming this year from me, which is exciting. And I will make sure to, as they develop, let you know where you can get them and how to pick them up and also what they're going to be about. So I'm pretty stoked about that. The next book is going to be a complete book by yours truly, and it's exciting. We're talking about being someone worth buying from. So that is coming up. One thing I want to let you know about: there's two events that are three events happening. There's gosh, so much happening this year. Well, first is this coming Thursday. This is Tuesday, January 14th. If you hear this in the matter of a couple days here, I am doing a master class on follow up. I'm going to be partnering with Doug C. Brown, who owns CEO Sales Success Strategies, CEO Sales Strategy Success Strategies, and we're going to be rocking out some scripting. This is going to be recorded as well, so make sure to join the Close It Now Facebook group. You can get all the details of how and where and when to join the webinar. It is going to be recorded, so if you hear this after the webinar, message me and we can still get you the recording and get you the content. But we're going to be breaking down scripting. We're going to be breaking down what the cadence looks like for follow up and give you some cool out of the box ideas so you stand out in the crowd. So we're going to be doing that. That is Thursday, January 16th, 2025 at 1 o'clock Central Time. All right. The next event is actually, it just sold out. So I'm going to just a little quick blurb about it. It's the HVAC Summit in Minneapolis, which I am going to be one of the speakers, actually, one of the main keynotes. I'm super excited about. Tim Brown up at Hook Agency. If you need to know about digital marketing, get a hold of Hook Agency. Those guys are awesome up there. He is hosting this event. It is going to be January 24th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I hope you have your ticket because there are no more. And the big event that I wanted to tell you about is my event coming up. The Close It Now event of the year will be April 28th, 29th, and the May 1st. Let's see. It's 29th, 30th, and May 1st. Yeah, want to make sure we get the right dates in there. And it is going to be in Boston, Massachusetts. The excitement is building. It's relentless, the ultimate sales transformation. And we're going to take you through the Close It Now sales system. It is the massive game changer. So many times through the process, I'll say something like, hey, if you do this one thing, your sales will go up 30%. And people have documented it. It's every single time it happens. So, what would it be worth to you if you take your numbers and increase them by 30%, increase your close rate, increase your average ticket, increase your total sales? If that goes from, you know, a million a year to 1.3 million a year, what would that do to your income, right? If it goes from, say 2 million a year to 2.6 million, right? 3 to 3.9 million. What would that do to your income? You can 100% do that when you come to our event and you implement what you learn. So it is going to be exciting. Make sure to grab your ticket now. There in the show notes will be the link for that. Now, let's get to I have a review to highlight. And this review, I have a feeling that Jacob Kirby is a listener to the podcast because listen to what he says. I was super stoked about this. Jacob Kirby came in, let's see, yesterday. Says close it now. So it's 5-star review. Close It Now has fantastic episodes. Thank you for doing what you do. Looking forward to setting up a 1 hour training session. So, Jacob Kirby, yes, you must have paid attention for everybody listening. If you leave me a 5-star review on Google or on Apple Podcasts and I read it on the show and you hear me, message me, and we will absolutely do a free 1 hour coaching session. So many times, so many people have taken me up on this and had this coaching session, and literally their review, their testimony is, I learned more in 1 hour than I've learned from the last year at my company. Last 2 years of training at my company, we learned more in an hour. I was able to make such a bigger impact. So Jacob, message me. Let's get you set up for your 1 hour training session. And everyone else, leave me a 5-star review. And if I read your review on an episode and you hear me, then absolutely we will get you hooked up with a training session. So leave that on Apple Podcast, leave that on Google. Just Google me or not me, Google Close It Now, and we'll get you going. So, last thing is, what is in your cup? What's in your cup today? I'm pretty excited about this new journey I'm on. If you've been listening, I got bored with coffee a little bit last year and decided to take a tea journey. So I am exploring different hot teas. So very British of me, since my full name is Samuel Lloyd Wakefield. Um, but let's see. One fun fact that I heard recently is the Tower of London, and all of you that are in England can confirm or deny this. I don't know how true this is. I need to find out for sure. But I have heard that the Tower of the keep where the crown jewels are kept is called Wakefield Tower. So I would love to know. Message me if you are in England or if you just know these details or not. That would be awesome. So what I've got today is from Bigelow Tea. They are actually in Fairfield, Connecticut. Maybe I need to find me a tea that is like truly British, but I don't know. Let's see. So this one is English tea time. It's black tea, full-bodied, rich, smooth tea, perfect any time of day. And of course, I do have it with a little bit of cream and sugar in here. So what is in your cup today? Everybody post online. Post it in the group. What do you got? What are you drinking? Is it coffee? Is it espresso? Is it tea? Is it kombucha? What is it? Right? It's something different. So hopefully you're hydrating. Stay hydrated up there, everybody. So let's take a sip together. What is your goal setting drink? 3, 2, 1. All right. And I'm drinking out of course, my NASA Failure is Not an Option mug, which I got on a family vacation this last year, not last week, last year. Okay, so let's get into some of the content here. So we're talking about goal setting. We're talking about achieving goals. We're talking about, what it takes to do that and getting into momentum. So one of the things that I want to cover first is, I'm not a huge fan of goal setting for the sake of goals, right? I talk about this often, but this is really important to understand is, goals have this concept that there's a deadline, there's a finish line. And the important thing to remember is when you and this is why people that do say a weight loss goal, they get down to whatever weight loss goal that they have, and then okay, I'm going to take a break, and then their break turns longer and longer, and then before you know it, they're back up where they started. So because a goal mentally has the idea of a stopping place. So when it comes time to, and this is early January, so one, it's not too late for you to set new resolutions, right? But instead of setting resolutions, adopt a habit, right? Create a habit for yourself. So instead of goals, I like to create personal standards, right? Personal habits, create a personal standard that you refuse to compromise on, because your standards, those are the things that keep you driving forward. And then within those standards, instead of goals, I like to set up checkpoints, because a checkpoint, kind of like the old school, remember when we were, when you were younger and you were playing the video games like a racing game, and you come to the checkpoint, that means you get more time, right? The checkpoint means you get more time to keep going. The game is not over there. So every time you get to a checkpoint, you keep going. So when we're setting our personal standards, when we're setting our goals, let's turn these goals into checkpoints, because I know and you know, we know, if you develop a habit that progresses you towards the destination that you want to be, if it's weight loss, if it's a sales goal, whatever it is, to increase your numbers, increase your close rate, average ticket, whatever you're focused on, set personal standards. And when you set the personal standards and create habits of success, right? When we create these habits of success, we know that instead of a goal, then we've got a checkpoint, and the checkpoint is the next place. Okay, cool. Here's the mile marker, right? Here's where we start to measure. Here's where our distance meter, where we start to measure how far we've come. And then we're looking at our success. We're measuring the gain, not the gap. So we're measuring our success along the way. And then we keep going, right? Yes, celebrate it. That checkpoint is the moment to celebrate what you're doing. It's the moment to celebrate the success that you're seeing, right? What we don't want to do is stop there. Take a moment to celebrate. Yes, if you're on a weight loss journey, yes, have that dessert. It's fine, but keep going, right? Don't stop. Don't make it a daily type of dessert or whatever, right? Keep going. That is the whole point. Keep going. So with that checkpoint, then you reset. What's the next checkpoint? What is the next checkpoint? What is the next checkpoint? And so keep going that way, and it keeps your mind focused on that moving forward. It keeps your mind focused on getting to the next checkpoint, getting to the next checkpoint. I've got to get more time. I've got to get more time, right? In the game of life, this is us leveling up. Every time you hit a checkpoint, which before would have been a goal, but now it's a personal standard you refuse to compromise on. We get to the next checkpoint. Awesome. That's great. Celebrate it. What's the next checkpoint? What's the next checkpoint? So that is the context for this conversation. Now, when we start to talk, once we get our checkpoints, we get our goals established, right? For example, if so let's take a sales goal, right? For example, if currently for the last 12 months, because this is a great time to talk about annual numbers, because everybody just got their numbers from 2024. So we'll just take some nice round, easy numbers for an example, right? If this last year you sold a cool $1 million in sales, right? And your close rate was, say, 30%. And your average ticket was, say, I don't know, $8,000, right? And so I'm going to grab my calculator. We'll do some quick, easy math here. And if you say, you know what, I need to increase that, because the one thing we know is, of course, if you live the same year after year, if your numbers, your KPIs are within about 10% or less than where you were the previous year, that means you're not growing, you're not getting better, you're not progressing, you're just living the same year over and over, year after year. So that means it's time to take control of your future and take control of your skills. Say, I want to be a professional. I want to learn the right skills to be able to progress, to be able to help more people, to close more deals, to earn more money, to have a higher close rate, higher average ticket. It helps the company, it helps the homeowners, it helps you, because we all know the homeowners that buy the biggest projects are the happiest. So why not make more happy clients by having bigger tickets? So getting into this a little bit is how do we get started, right? How do we set these goals and these mile markers, these checkpoints, right? So, for example, let's just take that, the person that, and I've been that person. That was my first year, right? Geez, I sold, it was less than a million my first year. And I went from that, I think that I've got to look back at the numbers. I want to say it was around 725,000 my first year. The next year, I realized that for things to get better, I had to get better. For things to change, I had to change because the number of appointments weren't increasing, but what I could do with the appointments had to change. So I started investing in myself. I bought a course. I bought a course from Brian Tracy, and then I went to a training. I was, years and years and years ago, I was one of the very, very first people that ever attended a Weldon Long, sales training session. It was awesome, right? Great back then. Great dude. And so I started investing in myself. Invested a couple $1,000 in myself. But then what happened? The next year, I didn't just sell, 700 something thousand. My take home that year was like right at 69, 70,000 that first year. And I was going to get super transparent with everybody and tell you my numbers because I don't care, right? This was 20, what year was that? 2010? 2010. Yeah, my first year in sales was 2010. And so, but what happened was seeing almost identical numbers of appointments the second year. I didn't see more appointments, but what happened is I gave myself a $30,000 raise because I learned my close rate went up, my average ticket went up, and I sold about 1.25 year two, up from about seven and a quarter, 750,000, right? So it was huge, the difference, right? I gave the company a massive raise, gave myself a massive raise. What do I credit it to? Doing the work, right? I invested in myself. I bought some courses. There was no coaching at that time. There was no sales training. You could just get online and watch YouTube videos like this. And if you're on YouTube, remember to like, subscribe, and follow. And if you're not on YouTube listening, these are on YouTube now also. So go watch the YouTube. If you want to actually see me and all of the guests and the interviews, go watch on YouTube because there's a bunch there. But so I knew that I had to get better. I started investing in myself. Now you can, hire Close It Now or any other training company to, for virtual coaching. You can go to the events like I'm hosting, of course. You can have us out to your location, right? You can have us out to, we're doing something totally different. I'll get to that at a different section. I want to tell you about how we've restructured the way that we do our on-site visits because we're not consultants. We're not trainers anymore. We're not coaches. We're resultants. We get results. I don't care what anybody else does. We're not just going to come in and teach you a script and say role play and okay, hope for the best. Fingers crossed. We'll see you in another 3 or 4 months when we're back around. No, that's not how we work. We get results, which means we're working together very, very closely along the way. So, but let's get back to the topic. The topic is how do we get into momentum? We've got these goals set. So we've got our, say $1 million a year goal or so current numbers. And we look at the market and say, okay, we could do better, right? So start working your numbers backwards. So when I'm working with people, I do it like this. Say, okay, if your goal is $1 million, you're currently doing $1 million and your average ticket right now is 8,000. That means you sold 125 $8,000 projects across the year. So if you take that same 125 and let's find out what would happen if we increased it to just 9,000. You're now looking at 1.125, 1,125,000. You added $125,000 to your total sales strictly by changing your average ticket from 8,000 to 9,000. That is a huge difference. So let's take the 125. Let's make it 10,000 for easy math here, because honestly, 8,000 to, let's times 1 point, let's see, 8,000 times 1.3. So 30% increase is going to be actually 10,400. So let's take the total number of jobs that we sold the previous year times 10,400. So a 30% increase in average ticket leads to a $1.3 million year. Now, let's do another number, right? So if we had 125, that's assuming a 30% close rate at 125 sales. Let's increase that. So 125, let's just increase that by 30%. So that is now 162 sales times our new average ticket of 10,400. We're now at 1.69 million. So almost 1.7 million. So what I want you to see is that wasn't hard to do. That was pretty simple. We did a little bit of math. We just took, currently, for example, if the person sells $1 million a year at an average ticket of 8,000, we increase the average ticket by 30%, which is 10.4, which is very conservative, very reasonable. I cannot, every single market will absolutely support that average ticket. There's not a price thing. Average ticket, all the top performers, average tickets are usually close to double that. But what I want you to see is with if we're not, this is not a conversation for top performers. This is a conversation for the rest of us, right? The other 99% of us. Because, we say all this on social media about so and so did 14 million and 19 million and 12 million and all these things. And it's absurd to think that most of us can do those types of ridiculous numbers if we're not the perfect sales unicorn in the perfect sales unicorn kind of company and model. And there's only a handful of those around the country. So unless you lucked into it, you got to grind like the rest of us. So, not saying those guys don't work hard, but for the practical conversation here, stop believing the lies that's saying this one guy can do all these things and everybody should be able to do this. No, I'm much more impressed by somebody that does, 3 or 4 million in a year in, middle America or some, tiny town, right? When I started, I mean, our town was 13,000 people, right? The year the Brian Extreme came out, I sold more of those in my town of 13,000 people than the entire city of Austin combined. And I have those numbers from the distributor, right? It's not about where you're at, it's about what you're doing where you're at. That is success, right? So, okay, so back to the numbers, right? We increased the average ticket 30%, went from 8,000 to 10.4, and increased the close rate or just the number of jobs sold. That's actually not even anywhere close to a 30% increase in close rate. We just increased the number of jobs sold by 30%. So that takes us to, what was that, almost 1.7 million from a million. Wow, what a difference a small adjustment makes, right? This is the power of compounding. So that's what happens when we start to set some goals. So now that we have this new mile marker, now that we have this new checkpoint, we got to break it down. So, because you don't want to just set an annual goal and, hope for the best, right? Now we break it down by quarters. So divide by 4. So that's 422, 500 a quarter. So let's divide that by 3. That's only 140,833 a month. We divide that by 4. We're talking about 35,208 a week, right? Divide that by 5, 7,041 a day. That's not hard. That's less than one system a day, right? Less than one system a day. We can definitely do that. So now that we have those numbers broken down, we got to talk about how do we get in momentum? How do we get moving in that direction? So when we are setting these types of goals, when we're setting the different things that keep us moving forward in that direction, what we do, let's say it this way. One of the traps that we fall into is setting too big of a goal. if we're not already in momentum, what happens to so many people is they'll set this BHAG, this big, hairy, audacious goal, right? So, in fact, they wouldn't do that. They'd be like, okay, I did 1 million. So next year I want to do 3.5. Well, you don't know what the work it takes to do 2 million. You don't know what level of work it takes to do 3 million. You don't even know what the level of work it takes to do 1.5 million yet, but you're going to. So first of all, make sure that your next goal, your next checkpoint is something practical, right? So I see these companies out here that are going from 10 million to 25 million and 40 to 85 million in a year. They're not telling you the full story. Well, the full story is they've got insane financial backers. They have like people on their team that have been to grown and worked at enormous companies like that before. They're not starting fresh and doing it for the first time. I can guarantee you that. The point is set something that you're happy with. Set several levels of goals, right? Set your minimum, the one that you know you can achieve with some work. Set your stretch goal, which is okay, we can get there, but it's going to take really working our face off. And then set your like super reach goal. Set the goal that like when you hit that, like world shakes. So set several. And I'm not going to get into the details of the percentages and where those should be. You know what it is, but the low goal, you want it to be something that you can achieve. You know you can achieve it with some work. Don't make it too easy. Make it a stretch for you. But then what do we do? Well, let's get into momentum. So for example, if someone is already moving in momentum, they're already moving forward. They've got some regular sales. We're not in the slump. We're not in the like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. Everybody wants to think about it. We're not in that. We're actually moving forward in some sales. Then the sales that we want to, the goals that we want to set, the numbers, the metrics and KPIs we want to look at, we're much more focused in tracking the lagging metrics. So we need to have a little conversation about leading metrics and lagging metrics here in a second. But when we're already in momentum, we're tracking the lagging metrics, the actual how many sales, how many appointments did we get this week? How many sales did we get this week? What was the average ticket? What was the close rate? Those the numbers that we normally look at. Now, let's talk about this a minute because there's a big difference between lagging metrics and leading metrics. This is something nobody really ever talks about. So lagging metrics are just that. It's those KPIs. It's the sell. It's the bottom of the funnel, right? When people enter our world, they enter it at the top of the funnel. The top of the funnel is a lead, right? It's not even an appointment yet. It's just a lead. It's like, okay, somebody reached out, somebody picked up the phone, somebody clicked on something, somebody ran into us at a home show. We knocked somebody's door and they said, yeah, I'd be open to hearing about that, right? So that's a lead. That's nothing yet. Then we schedule the appointment. So some of the leads fall out. We get to appointments. That's the goal, to keep as many people in the funnel as we go along. The appointment makes, a few of those are going to fall out. We may have some no-shows. We may have some reschedules. So then we sit the appointment. Some of those are going to fall out because they're just either a no, maybe it's not the right type of client for you. Maybe we fire them as a client, right? Or maybe they're just looking for something that we don't offer. So some of those are going to fall out. So we're getting a smaller and smaller number along the way. That's why it's important to keep the funnel full, keep it filled from the top. And so it gets down to, where we are actually tracking the sell versus the close, our close rate, our sell versus the sit rate. So that is a lagging metric. When you're not in momentum, the thing to do is to set a goal around your leading metrics. What are our leading metrics? Leading metrics are some of the first numbers we come across. Those are the KPIs from how many reach outs did I do today? Here's a simple little ninja trick. I will tell you, if you do this one thing, your numbers will go up probably 20 to 30% because I've seen it happen time and time again. Make happy calls. Set yourself an intention to daily reach out to 5 people in your database. It doesn't matter if we've sold them or not. Start with the sale. Start with every single job that you sold last year. Reach back out to them. Hey, how's it going? What do you like best about your system? Right? Just wanted to connect, just wanted to touch base. I'm saying this because we're not following up. We're just connecting with people. Hey, how's it going? Just said we hadn't talked in a while. What did you like? What have you liked best about your system? How did it do through the year? Who do you know we can help? We're asking for a referral. Also, look in those notes. This is where you have to be good at keeping notes, right? You should be keeping notes for all of your appointments. Look back as you talk to them. Hey, I noticed the new season is coming of allergies are coming. I noticed before we talked about, maybe getting rid of your allergies, but we didn't do it then. Now's the perfect time. Let's go ahead and get that knocked out before the season hits again. And so now he's talking about IAQ or, hey, winter's here. And say if you're like in the north and areas that are really dry, winter's here. I've like so glad you love the system. It's been awesome for you. Hey, I know that it's about to start getting really dry as we're heating. Um, why don't we reopen that conversation about what it might look like to get you some humidity in your house so you don't. So then we're going to paint the benefit picture so you don't have to experience those nosebleeds and dry skin and stuff anymore, like we talked about before, right? Call all of your clients. Call them, all the ones that you sold. Start there. Make it easy on yourself. Set a goal for 5 a day. Then go through every single person that you saw that you didn't sell. Call them, every single one of them. Talk to them, call, text, email, get a hold of these people. This is the work that top performers do that no one else thinks they do. They're going back through their database for years and talking to people and staying top of mind. Because what happens? People move, people like they change houses, people come in and out of their lives that need our work, their friends, their family, and when we're top of mind, they will refer you. So, doing the work here. What are the leading? So back to the topic. Leading metrics. Leading metrics are crucial. So if your goal is to increase your, average ticket and close rate and total sales, and you're getting the same number of leads, right? So I look back at my career and be like, how much better would my years have been year after year instead of just focusing, especially in those early years, on what I was getting from the company and started focusing on not only that, but how can I get in front of more people, right? So the leading metrics are how many new conversations are you having today, right? We're starting at the top of the pipeline. Set that number something that you would have to try hard not to do. So when you actually meet that commitment, you make a commitment to yourself to do something. For example, if it's knocking doors, make yourself a commitment to knock your first door before 9 a.m., right? And set your goal as like, I'm going to knock 10 doors and that's it. Because we know, and by the time you get out there, you're in flow, you're doing your thing, you're starting to get warmed up, you'll go way past 10 because you're already there. Same thing with like weight loss. When you set these goals, don't set the goal to, I'm going to lose 35 pounds this month. No, set the goal to, I'm going to go to the gym and put my shoes on 4 days this week. That's it. That's the goal. You feel like it or not, I'm going to the gym and I'm going to put my shoes on and lace them up. And then what happens, right? Some days you might feel good. Some days you might not feel like it. It doesn't matter what you feel like. Your feelings are lies, right? Consistent, successful people take consistent discipline, persistent action across time. And that power of compounding is what makes the difference. So you're in the leading metric that you're measuring is, yes, I kept the commitment to myself to make it to the gym 4 times this week and lace my shoes up. It just so happens that while I was there, a couple days I didn't feel as good. So, I only did, 20 minutes on the treadmill. The other couple days, man, I felt better. I got a workout in. But what are you doing? You're keeping commitments to yourself. You're also making progress. You're lapping everyone on the couch. Same thing with your sales numbers. Same, whatever metric, whatever part of your life that you're wanting to progress in, that you're wanting to grow, that you're wanting to become that someone worth buying from, is we've got to make these little micro agreements with ourselves. And when we start meeting those micro agreements with ourselves, then we start to show up in our power and in our presence. And when we do that, that is when we're becoming that person worth buying from, right? We can always, always, always increase that. We focus on what we can control. And what you can control is the work and effort that you put in to increase the numbers that you're focused on. So do not treat this industry, any home service industry, do not treat it like a hobby. Take it serious. You are a professional. Learn your skills, learn your trade, learn your craft. So when we're setting these numbers, right? How many new reach outs are we doing today? How many doors am I knocking on today? How many calls am I making? How many networking events am I going to this week? Right? This is January, right? Unless you're in a part of the country that's just like slammed with snow, which I know a lot of you are, which is awesome. Go crush it. Go slay some dragons up there. But if you're not and you're slow, you're only slow because you're choosing to be slow. You're only slow because you're choosing to be lazy and not put in the work it takes to be a top performer. Get out there, meet people, make conversations with people wherever you go. Everyone has a house wherever you are. Why aren't you talking to them? And I'll tell you, if the people in your own neighborhood don't know what you do, you're doing a poor job of communication, right? In your own neighborhood, your own neighbors, your own friends and family. If you haven't gone through your contact list in your phone and you haven't gone through your social media friends list and you haven't gone through and messaged and talked to every single one of them to say, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but this is what I do. Think of me if you ever need anything, right? If you haven't done that, you haven't even started doing the right work to increase your income, to increase your reach, your ability to help people, right? So start there, but set yourself these little micro goals. I'm talking to 5 new people today, 5 new conversations today, 5 new conversations today, right? That's how you start making progress and making momentum. And when we start achieving and actually doing these micro agreements, we start to feel confidence. We're building confidence. We're building certainty. We're building this enthusiasm. The flywheel starts going. We're creating this momentum, and then we can start seeing results. Don't think it happens in a day, but as you do this, as you make this progress, as you show up to the gym 4 days this week and put your shoes on, now we're going to start making progress. You're lapping everyone on the couch. You're lapping everyone that's not doing the work. Do the work. Do the work it takes to be a professional. It's a heavier lift than you expect, but it's easier than you ever expected either. So do the work. And when you start in this momentum, once it starts rolling, then that first sale comes in. You're like, yes. Then the next one comes in. You're like, yes. And you see your average ticket start to climb because you're focused on it. We're not just focused on it and trying to sell people more expensive things. We're focused on helping more. The way we can help more is by solving more of their problems while you're in the home. If we can solve more of their problems, then of course the average ticket's going to go up because we're solving more problems. I don't even care about the commission dollars right now. It has nothing to do with it because I know and you know when we solve more problems for people, it's the classic Zig Ziglar quote. It's like help enough people get what they want, you can have anything you want. So this is the mindset. This is the mindset of a champion. This is the mindset of a winner is I help people. I make it happen, right? I don't care if I get appointments from the company or not. They're awesome when they come. But even if not, I'm going to go find my own business. Did you know there's companies around the country that give their salespeople 0 appointments, but they also sell millions of dollars worth of product every year because they chose to go create business for themselves? So you can do it too. You can absolutely do it. So this is the mindset. So instead of goals, create personal standards and habits of success that will, if you continue consistently with those habits, you have no choice but to be successful and to blow right past your goals. So then instead of goals, set mile markers and checkpoints to keep going. Celebrate it, keep going. Celebrate it and keep going. Celebrate it and keep going. And start to measure those KPIs. Where are you? Are you in momentum? Cool. Measure the more lagging metrics. Do you need to get into momentum? And everyone can make these micro agreements with themselves and start to achieve it. So set the leading metric goal, set the leading metric standard, set those checkpoints, set those numbers, those KPIs that you're going to track, that you're going to watch. Put it in front of you every single day. And as you do that, you'll find yourself moving closer and closer and closer towards the checkpoints, closer towards where you want to be. But the only way to do that is by starting. So that's my message for you today. I hope this is helpful. This is such a good time to talk about this type of thing at the beginning of the year when we're getting into, we're looking ahead for the year. What do we want to accomplish for 2025? Let's do this. Start here, and then you'll find the rest of your numbers will fall in line. They're going to start to skyrocket. So thanks for joining me today. If you got some value from this podcast, I would love a 5-star review. You can review, actually, so remember to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. If you're on YouTube, if you're on anywhere else, make sure to leave me a review, 5-star review, and hop into the Facebook group. Let's start some discussion around this. What are your goals? What are your metrics? What do you track? Obviously we got the basics, but what else do you track? What standards have you set for yourself that you refuse to compromise on? Let's start a discussion around that, because that's what really matters in life. Don't compromise on your personal standards that you set up for yourself. And then by extension, you become a leader, because people love to follow people who have personal standards, people who don't compromise no matter what. Be a leader to your family, a leader in your community, at your church. There's so many places. So that's my message today. Thanks for joining me. Make sure to get your ticket for the Ultimate Sales Transformation event that's going to be in Boston. And until next time, everybody, I will talk to you soon. Go be someone worth buying from.